Welcome to Parker Easy Drive. Today I'd like to present you the new Easy Drive configuration software. We will make configuration quick, easy and user-friendly. Just follow me and have a look. To show you now a real-life setup and demonstrate the flexibility of Easy Drive, I've provided two electromechanical systems, one with a screw actuator and stepper motor, and the other one with belt actuator and servo motor. Join me at the set and do an Easy Drive configuration with me right now. We start the configuration with a double click on controller in the menu of configuration. We first select the stepper controller and afterwards the user units in a millimeter. For the actuator we select the ball screw actuator with 5 mm pitch. We can enter the order stroke information with 300 mm and a safety of 50 mm each end. And therefore we get a free travel distance of 200 mm. The application is without a gear, and we select the corresponding stepper motor. For the motion mode we select positioning. That means we have single motion profiles that can be started. The homing sensor should be with function normally open, and the homing routine is without an offset. Afterwards we can download the configuration to the controller. Before motion profiles can be programmed, the direction of travel needs to be checked. Push and hold the button Move Plus to go in positive direction, or Move Minus to go in negative direction, and last with button homing towards the sensor. Finally, I'd like to program a feeding application together with you using only two motion profiles to move the carriage 4 times over a distance of 50 mm and backwards right afterwards to the 0 position. Now let's start to write the single motion profiles within the table by selecting motion profile number 1. We choose a relative movement for a distance of 50 mm each start signal. We'd like to have a speed of 25 mm per second, and for the acceleration as well as the deceleration we select 500 mm second square. We select OK and program directly motion profile number 2. We select an absolute movement back to the 0 position, now with a speed of 50 mm per second, and an acceleration as well as a deceleration of 500 mm per second square, and again select OK. With the download we write the parameter down to the controller. Let's have a look at the execution of the programmed motion profiles. With the first start command, the homing is started. The following 4 start commands will actuate motion profile 1 with 50 mm travel each. After 4 motions, the carriage has reached its 200 mm position. Actuating motion profile 2 will bring the carriage back to 0 position. Easy Drive makes programming for feeding application simple and convenient. Not only single motion profiles can be programmed with Easy Drive. In many applications, motion profiles must be linked with each other. This is very simple with Easy Drive, and I will show it to you with a belt actuator and a servo motor right now. We start again the configuration with a double click on controller in the menu. We now select a servo controller for the application. and keep the user units in millimeter. We select the belt actuator and enter the order stroke information 400 mm with a safety distance of 50 mm each end to achieve a free travel distance of 300 mm. We have an application without a gear and select the corresponding servo motor. For the motion profile now we select sequence that allows to couple different single motion profiles to each other. We select an homing and switch function for E- and for the E+, a second AND switch in normally close. The homing again is done without an offset. And now we download again the configuration to the controller. Now we program the motion profiles for sequence number 1. The first motion profile should be on absolute position 300 mm with a speed of 200 mm per second and an acceleration and deceleration of 500 mm second square. After the first motion profile, we'd like to wait for 1 second before we start the motion profile number 2 and select OK. The second motion profile should go to position 200 mm, now with a speed of 400 mm per second, and the acceleration and deceleration should be 500 mm second square. We again wait for 1 second before we do the motion profile number 3 and select OK. In motion profile number 3, we'd like to go to 300 mm position with a speed of 500 mm per second and an acceleration and deceleration of 1 meter per second square. Now we're waiting for 2 seconds before we start motion profile number 4. In motion profile number 4, we'd like to go back to 0 position, now with a speed of 1 meter per second, and the acceleration and deceleration should be 1 meter second square. Now we are waiting for a trigger signal on input 4 before we start the cycle again. We download now the parameters, the motion profiles, to the controller. With the first start command, homing is started. The next start command actuates the motion profiles of sequence 1. We travel to 300, 200, 300 and back to 0 position. A trigger signal will restart the cycle. You could see how easy it is to configure and program even without manual. Stepper solution, servo solution with easy drive. Quick, easy and user-friendly. With Parker Easy Drive you will not only save time but also raise productivity.